Hey there, everybody. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. And while we may have hit the end of March, we're not quite yet done with our review of beers that are either from Ireland, Irish-inspired, or somehow related to St. Patrick's Day. Looking at you, Peppermint Patty from last week. Mint, still the debate's out there. But regardless, St. Patrick's Day, March, what do you want to call it? The most famous beer probably out there is Guinness, specifically the Guinness Draft. And no, we're not going to review that, but we do have a beer that lines up in the spirit of Guinness. And while it's not really the Guinness Draft, it lines up with one of their other offerings that they have. And we'll just get into the Beercam and we'll start the review and we'll start talking about it. So today's beer, like I said, is in the line or inspired by Guinness. And it's not Guinness Draft, which is again the most popular, but it is something else out of their offering, and we'll kind of fire it up. And what it is this is from Elder Pine. It is their Chin Chin, which is an Irish Extra Stout. This one's a little bit different, and as we can see, it is barrel aged Chin Chin specifically, which is Irish Extra Stout, and it's aged in rye whiskey barrels for 13 months. So while this doesn't line up with Guinness Draft, which is again probably the most popular, it does line up with another offering, which is their Guinness Extra Stout, which is a beer that is based on the recipe that Arthur Guinness first brewed back in 1821. So I guess if you look at it this way, maybe again this may have helped prior to St. Patrick's Day, but whatever, take it for what it's worth, that this may serve as maybe we'll find out an alternative to Guinness that you can order up, because this does have the aged in the whiskey barrels. It does kind of kick it up a little bit. We are clocking in about 9% on this, so maybe we'll find out when we do the taste test that maybe we kind of get that Carbomb type in a can, maybe make it get the same type of flavoring, get the same type of impact, but without the mess of a Carbomb. So speaking of car bombs, that probably get me in trouble on YouTube. So speaking of the Irish Carbomb Drink, or Irish Slammer, or whatever you want to call it, we're going to bleed right into our, again, probably wrong term for that. We're going to go into our The More You Know moment. As we said, that this beer may be reminiscent of kind of having a car bomb in a can. You know, it's kind of inspired for the More You Know moment to kind of look up the history of the Irish Carbomb drink itself. So just like any good origin story, the Irish Carbomb wasn't always called by this name, nor was it originally served in a Guinness. The Irish Carbomb itself actually started off its life as a shot, and it was called the Grandfather, which was invented by Charles Burke Cronin Oat. That's a mouthful. At his bar called Wilson's Saloon, which is located in Norwich, Connecticut, and it was invented on St. Patrick's Day in 1977. Originally, the Grandfather was a shot of a half ounce of Bailey's and a quarter ounce of Kahlua, and he took the name from the fact that he was serving it to his brothers to toast their grandfather. This name doesn't last for more than a few hours because it's St. Patty's Day, and many a grandfather shot was served alongside with Guinness, and many toast to their grandfather was done. Charles and his brothers felt something was missing from the drink, as it just wasn't strong enough and they weren't getting the buzz that they wanted. So Charles yells for Jameson whiskey. He knew exactly what would kind of kick it up a notch. And as he poured the whiskey into the grandfather's shot, he stated, "The IRA showed up. This ought to work now." It said that it was in response to the fact that Irish cream will curdle and boil up like an explosion when the whiskey is added in there. The rest of the bar got in on this, and just as quickly as the name had arrived, the name Grandfather was replaced. But this isn't where we get the Carbomb name yet. That comes about 2 years later. The name Grandfather was replaced out by the IRA. They call it the IRA shot, I guess. 2 years later, in 1979, while he's drinking with his manager, he gets the crazy idea that while they were toasting, to drop the shot in the pint. And it was at this point that he dubbed it the Belfast Carbomb or the Irish Carbomb. Regardless, both names have a real bad connotation, as just 9 years earlier was a dark day in Irish history that took place with Bloody Friday, which, if you don't know, it involved the detonation of 20 car bombs in Belfast, killing 9 and injuring 130. Real dark period in Irish history. But the car bomb name, he didn't tag it to this in any way to this event. It comes from the volatile explosion. If you've ever had one of these drinks, you know how it reacts and the violent reaction that comes when that shot is dropped in the pint. So that's where he got the car bomb name from. Controversy aside, this drink could have easily just had remained a local drink and languished in the Connecticut and New England region, but two things happened to change this and grow its popularity. First, the drink was slowly spread across America by Navy personnel who frequent Wilson's Saloon, and then you couple this in with Guinness's marketing blitz in the 80s and 90s. Guinness's popularity explosion just dragged with it and included all things made with Guinness. And again, this has its ties back out to St. Patrick's Day. You're drinking it with Guinness. So that's how it explodes out into the worldwide drink that it is today. But to his credit, Charles Oates, he does actually say that he does regret the name because, as he writes in his article called "The Carbomb: The Creation of an Historic Cocktail," he quote says, "If you ever invent a drink such as the Carbomb, beware. You never know if it might be famous one day, so pick the name carefully." So take it what it's worth. Obviously, we haven't learned our lessons with other wonderful shots and drinks such as Sex on the Beach, and you could go down the list for lots of bad names in drink. One last quick note on before we get out of the more you know moment and get into our beer tasting. The Irish Slammer, the Irish Carbomb, whatever we're calling it, it's really nothing more than a Boilermaker, which, interestingly enough, was called the Sean O'Farrell. And this drink had its origins in the 1890s in Butte, Montana, served to miners coming off a shift at the end of their day. So I guess the Boilermaker, however it had its destiny, it was going to line up into something kind of Irish related, although the name Sean O'Farrell is shrouded in mystery. But there's lots of stuff out there that kind of says that's the original thing, and the Carbomb, take it for what it's worth, is nothing more than a Boilermaker, but made with Irish stuff. So, granted, you got Kahlua in it, but regardless, it's still Irish. So, with that, let's go ahead. I'm going to get everything poured out, and we'll get everything set up for our beer review.
I drink, and I know things.
So we got everything poured out, and we'll do some respect, and it is an Irish stout. So we're going to pour it into our Guinness glass, and as you can kind of see, it sets up. It's nice and dark. We got the nice dark caramel head that comes in off of this. You'll see it's a lot more foamy than you would get off of a Guinness draft. The big difference between the Guinness stout, extra stout, and the Guinness draft is nitro inspired, which gives it the more creamy kind of textures, and you get that characteristic very smooth head that you get off of the beer. This one obviously is a lot more foamy that comes into play. Settle down real quick. So we'll go ahead, give it the old sniff test, and then we'll give it the old taste test. So let's go away. So right off the bat, I do get kind of some chocolate overtone, a little bit. Get a slight hint of the alcohol kind of tinge to it from the barrel aging process, but no, outside of that, just kind of smells like regular old Guinness. not much difference on there. So we'll go ahead and give it the taste test and see how it lines up. right off the bat, you know, any alcohol that you would get out from the barrel aging process, it's not really coming forward. It's not overpowering that's in there. It's got a nice subtleness to it. You get some hints and overtones of it, but nothing really too powerful. I guess I kind of would liken it to of having a shot and then chasing down with the Guinness. It's not. I kind of was expecting on some of these other barrel aged stuff that you would get a huge overpowerness, but I didn't get that, and it kind of indicated that I wouldn't get because I didn't really get the nose of it. Usually in those ones where you're going to get that real heavy kind of alcohol taste, you smell it before you even drink it. But this one, I don't get it. As we can see, the head on our beer is pretty much dissipated real quick. All in all, with this, it's right on par with the Guinness offering. There's a slight difference, obviously, on here because we do have that little bit of kind of the whiskey, the alcohol kind of alcohol. It is all alcohol, but the liquor, spirit, whatever you want to call it, kind of undertone that's in there that kind of stays in on the backside of this drink and kind of feel the burn a little bit as it goes down. Not too much, just it's very subtle that's in there, but all in all, this is a good round of beer. It's not quite Guinness. It's not meant to be exactly like Guinness. It's their take on that style recipe. And again, it's got there's a slight different characterization off of it. Not bad in any way. Not knocking anything off of it. For a rating, it sets up very well. It handles itself very, very nicely. It's got a good body flavor to it. The whiskey taste to it is not prevalent. It's just a hint in there. So all in all, I guess this is probably partialness because it lines up very close to it. We're going to give this one a 5 out of 5. I'm not finding really anything that detracts from it for me with this beer. Again, like I said, it sets up very nice. While it doesn't set out to be Guinness, it is very Guinness-like. Again, as I want to remind, it's not of the Guinness draft, so if you're not partial to Guinness draft or any of the others, you may not like this, but if you like the Guinness Extra Stout, you'll probably enjoy this one too. It's got just that little kind of something else that's added into it, and that's why we're going to give it out a 5 out of 5. So, as you know, it's come to about that time. Beer rating's done. The more you know moment's done. It's time to find out, will it chug? It's about time to find out if this drink will chug. I'm probably going to venture, being that it is very Guinness-like, it will probably not have a hard time, but again, like I said, we got that slight undertone of the whiskey liquor flavor that's in there, and we'll find out if that kind of comes to the forefront when we chug it out. And I know I'm kind of wasting a perfect opportunity to do a Carbomb shot, but regardless, I'd probably make a mess, and this is bad enough to go with in its own chugging, but I guess I should have did a Carbomb. I screwed up. Maybe next year we could do a taste off of this because Elder Pine does put out the Chin Chin pretty much every year. The barrel age is the first that I've seen it this year, but we could try lining it up and pair it up with, we'll try that for next year, and pair it up against, face it off against Guinness and see who makes the better Carbomb. So with that, it's time to find out, will it chug? So, as predicted, it will chug. And also, as I kind of guessed, I do get more of that liquor, the whiskey tones coming out in there. Again, not enough to kind of detract from anything, but it definitely feels a little bit of a burn. going down at the end. It was a little tough to kind of finish out at the end in regards to this because of, you know, that little extra was kind of feeling the burn off of it. It is chuggable, so there you go. You do have an alternative if you want to fire something up local to use in your Irish Slammers. You now got an alternative. And with that, this is done. I'm done. We're done. And I thank you again for tuning in another edition of Bagel and Booze, and we'll catch you later. Thanks all.